Every year in June or July, Queen Elizabeth spends a week visiting various regions in Scotland, known in the country as Royal Week and to some others as Holyrood Week. Though last year's Royal Week was cancelled due to the pandemic, this year's event will proceed in full swing. Beginning on Monday, June 28, the Queen will stay at the Palace of Holyrood House, the Sovereign's official Scotland residence, and tour the country. She will be joined by the Duke of Cambridge on Monday, and the Princess Royal on Wednesday and Thursday. The Duke of Cambridge has his own special connection to the country, as he also counts the Earl of Strathern as one of his royal titles. He and the Duchess of Cambridge visited Scotland last month on their own tour. Over the course of the week, the Queen will travel Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Stirling, and visit small businesses, charities, and cultural institutions that, as per Buckingham Palace, highlight the pioneering work taking place to further community engagement, education, technology, and efforts to combat climate change. Though the Queen also normally hosts thousands of guests for one of her famous garden parties at the palace, this year's event has been cancelled, due to governmental COVID-19 guidelines. Though the event will not have the same grandeur of years past, it is shaping up to be a busy week for Queen Elizabeth, Prince William, and Princess Anne. Below, find all of the best photos of the royals during Holyrood Week 2021. Prince William, or the Earl of Strathern as he is known in Scotland, will join the Queen for her first day of the tour on June 28. Anne will accompany Her Majesty on June 30 and July 1. Traditionally, the monarch undertakes engagements in Scotland in late June or early July every year as part of Royal Week. The Queen also typically hosts a large-scale garden party and investiture ceremonies at the palace. These events can draw thousands, so they did not take place in 2020 due to COVID-19. Similarly, Her Majesty did not participate in Royal Week in Scotland last year, so it is wonderful to see a return of it. The Queen has a special connection with Scotland. She usually spends her summer break at Balmoral Castle, where she is often joined by her children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. The 95-year-old has already had a busy few weeks. On June 23, she returned to London to have an in-person meeting with UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson at Buckingham Palace. The monarch stepped out for the final day of royal ascot on June 19 and had tea with US President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden at Windsor Castle on June 13. In Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Stirling, Her Majesty will visit businesses, charities and cultural institutions that highlight the pioneering work taking place to further community engagement, education, technology, and efforts to combat climate change. The monarch's Scotland visit is very exciting news, especially since Prince William recently embarked on a tour of Scotland. The father of three undertook the week-long trip as part of his role as Lord High Commissioner to the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland. William was in Scotland from May the 21st to the 27th, and Duchess Kate memorably joined him for part of the tour. Highlights included the couple visiting their old university in St Andrews and hosting a special drive-in screening of Cruella for NHS workers at Her Majesty's official Scotland residence, the Palace of Holyrood House. During the whirlwind tour, the Duchess of Cambridge got to meet Mila Sneddon at the palace. The mom of three previously gave the 5-year-old her word that she would wear pink when they met in person. The Queen traditionally undertakes a series of public engagements in Scotland at the end of June or beginning of July every year, and remains in residence at the Palace of Holyrood House throughout. In line with government guidelines, Her Majesty did not travel to Scotland for Royal Week in 2020, and the large-scale events normally hosted at the palace will not go ahead this year, including the annual garden party. The Queen usually spends her summer break at Balmoral Castle, where she is often joined by her children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren.